Hello, boys and girls, men and women, birds and bees, and children of all ages. I was about to say Saturday. It's your Friday. Uh-oh. Let's open up some windows here. It's your Friday. I hope you're feeling good about it. If you don't have to go to work, I hope that you would still be in bed. I mean, seriously, come on. Uh, I don't know about you, but it's freaking warm here. Oh, I hit that to kick that. We're a little early. Let's stop this. Hey, Edgy. I hope you're doing good. Or is it Edgy? I hope you're good on this Friday. I hope you got plans for the weekend. Blow the doors off. Get back some of that good energy that the week normally kind of like so slowly zaps you of. Not you, but zaps us of. Yeah, it was a good night. I stayed up way too late. Managed to get up like 20 minutes ago and make a cup of coffee. If you got vaccinated 2 times and you need to rest, that's good because what they're talking about a new version, not the Delta variant. They're talking about the Lambda version now. I heard that today. And what caught my eye is that they're considering it. Let me see if I can find this for YouTube demonetizes me. They're considering it a global threat to people, like global threat to people, not like. So it's like, I think that they've been playing games with this thing for so long, and then they don't really know what to do with it. That's just what I think. But I can't really blame them for not knowing what to do with it. It's not like we've seen a lot of these before. But at the end of the day, I think our system is so geared to the American system is so geared to games and ridiculousness and nonsense that it just got out of hand. It didn't just get out of hand, but it was going to get out of hand just because people didn't know what the heck they were doing. They have no real way to make each other focus on what's important. They're all trying to one up each other. Let's see if we can look it up on let's put this over here. Well, do we want to? You know, we'll check. We'll check this later. But I want to look up the Lambda variant. Lambda variant. Lambda COVID variant, a potential threat to human society, researchers say. Tokyo covered up arrival of deadly new COVID variant just before the Olympics. So the new COVID variant, first cases of COVID Lambda variant reported in North Louisiana. So yeah, it's a whole different strain of nonsense. It just keeps doop boop doop doop. Just yeah, this is really bad. We'll see what happens. What does the Delta variant feel like? The Lambda variant. Oof. Do you want to read this article this early in the morning? Do we even want to? Let me show y'all what I'm reading so you don't think I'm being goofy. Close this. Lambda COVID variant, potential threat to human society. There's concern over the threat posed by the Lambda variant of COVID-19, which may be more resistant to the vaccine than the original version of the virus. Research by a team from the University of Tokyo, which has not yet been peer-reviewed, found 3 mutations in Lambda spike protein. It helps resist neutralization by vaccine-induced antibodies. Meanwhile, 2 mutations in the Lambda variant T761 and L452Q make it more infectious than the COVID variant that swept through the world in 2020. So it's, oh boy. So luckily for you and me, we have the same diltards in control to fuck this one up too. So good Lord. All those, what are those movies? All those dystopian movies that you raise all these children on? It might have been a good idea. I'm gonna have to take that back. They may have to survive in this place. all dark and broody, like The Road. Remember that movie, The Road? There were no zombies in that. It was just a global fucking apocalypse of some kind that they don't tell us about and don't tell us about in the movie. Who knows what it was? I don't think it was war, right? I grew up on dystopian movies about war, and that was always a destroyed city, and the military was all around. All these news stories are just about not the zombie one, but like stuff that leaves the stuff of society still there, buildings and subways and buses and stuff, but no people to run it, like a total societal breakdown. And for that to happen, I think all hell has to break loose, or you have to run out of people. And then it just becomes small group after small group doing shit to each other because there's no centralized large group. The confusion of the study posed at Bior, what is that? Bior XIV, or is that 14? Bior 14 on July 28, matching findings also not yet peer reviewed by a team in Chile that found the variant might also evade. So while they're not peer reviewed, this group, a study posted by BRX1 on July 20, matches findings also not yet peer reviewed by a team in Chile that also found it, the same weirdness. In June, the World Health Organization declared Lambda variant, which emerged in Peru in August 20, has been recorded in cases in Texas and South Carolina at the variant interest. So now you have two COVID variants running around. And remember, if it's like the flu, like they say, you can, every year the flu is different. You have to get a flu vaccine for a different version of the flu every year. So what, you're going to need a COVID shot for a different version of the vaccine every time it sprouts? It's not even yearly at this point. Is it yearly at this point? Peru in August 2020. So that was last year when we had several other variants running around. Lambda, also known as C37 variant, had been the COVID-19 carrying about 81% of infections in Peru since April of this year. So it took over. 81% is from this new strain. Cases have been found in 29 country territories or areas with 5 WHO regions. However, the Japanese virtue said that the threat of the variant might be underestimated given that it was only named as a variant of concern. Lambda can be a potential threat to human society, senior researcher Kay Soto of the University of Texas. That is a headline grabber. Dr. George Christensen, who's the director of the Bioscientia Hygiene Center in Ingelheim, Germany, said that the statement by the Japanese should be taken seriously, even if their findings still need to be verified. The new Japanese, well, yeah, he's German. They're all for falling in line and doing what they're told. But look what all the trouble it got him into. The new Japanese preprint study in Lambda. Can y'all even see this? Should I raise this? The new Japanese preprint study on Lambda variant is very credible, he told RTL. According to translation of his comments, he referred to the expertise of the researchers adding the data are valid. I mean, yeah, nobody says the Japanese science community are like the Russians who do, although they have done shady stuff. What did they say they cured that they did? No, they said that they made cold fusion, and then they sent that PhD guy to jail because he lied. After he, everybody was like, what? All these fucking crows out here. Pablo Tesukiyama, I was right, a doctor in molecular biology at Cayetano Heredia University in Lima, who documented Lambda emergence, said that when it was discovered, it did not attract much attention. Which makes sense because everybody was worried about the original version, and then there was a second version, and then there was a third version, which we're on now. But people said you can't call that version the Chinese version because that's racist. Remember that? And then he started calling everything Delta, and I went Delta. This is the new one. This is Lambda. So that's Delta is 5, Lambda is 6. Do we want to look up our what is it? Greek lettering, right? Alpha, Lambda, Gamma, Beta, all that good stuff. Alpha. Yeah, I think Lambda is like Delta is like 5. Delta is like 4. Meanwhile, Dr. Stuart Ray, professor of medicine at Johns Hopkins, told NPR in July that Lambda is sort of a cousin of the Alpha variant. But evidence so far is not clear that it has any advantages over the highly contagious Delta variant. How does it not have any advantage of the highly contagious Delta variant if you're telling everybody, okay, never mind. Delta is clearly dominating right now. So I think our focus can remain on Delta as a hallmark of highly infectious variant, he said. We have to be vigilant for these new variants in track to be said. I think right now, Lambda is a variant of interest and see whether it becomes a variant of concern. Oh, let's get to some of the questions. I have to say that there is a slight difference between virus of interest and threat to human society. Sounds like the media pumping it for all it's worth. That could be it too. I agree with that. That could be it too. Do you want to see some of the replies for this? That's Newsweek for you. Replying to it's a quote. Yeah. It says it's got 4. It says it's got 6. Okay. These are not replies. Fine. 4 replies. Dr. Fauci really believing pushing. Okay, that's Dr. Fauci, but I'm going to read it. In Arkansas, we are less than 200 people shy of having more in the hospital with COVID-19 than we've ever had. This is just a summer wave. It's worse in the winter. Most hospitals are unvaccinated. It's worse in the winter. Most hospitals are unvaccinated. The average age of people in the hospital with COVID-19 has dropped 10 years, and the average of people dying from it has dropped 12. The main reason for that drop is that not nearly as many seniors are ending up in the hospital because a large percentage of them have been vaccinated. Even though our overall vaccination rate is low, over 70% of our nursing home residents have been vaccinated, and our nursing homes just aren't getting slammed like they were in the winter. That's true. That is true. All but 2 of 117 residents at the facility where my wife works as a nurse have been vaccinated. All but 2. And they don't have a single COVID case. They just kept having outbreaks before, but no more. So what is your solution? Then again, we all might just die. I wouldn't take it so cavalierly. Let's try getting vaccinated, wearing masks, and social distancing. It actually helps. Yes, we tried that for the last 16 months. It helps prolong the inevitable. There's a way to look at it. What does this one say? Zootonics, so all life. Zoonotic, so all life. Thanks, CCP. What? But that might benefit humanity. You might be reluctant to admit that, but understanding that might be difficult to really admit. What, less people in the world benefits humanity? Yeah, I would. Do we want to read any more of these? Let's get this from me up here. I would agree with that. I hate to say. I think there's too many people in the world. I've said this before. Not to be dark or cruel or what some of these, let's close this one. Not to be dark or cruel or anything, but I can't even close it. I clicked on it, it has to stay open. Yeah, can't close it. Once you open it, it's open forever. And I just think that's because throughout the last 100 years or so, yeah, I was reading. Hey, Jeffrey, good to see you again, man. Yeah, we're reading comments because what happened was this headline just caught my attention when I was reading the Lambda COVID variant potential threat to human society. So I was like, what? The Lambda is a new COVID variant. We're in Delta. Lambda is running through the place, and it's sort of like it's slowly climbing. So I was just kind of like, we were just reading what the scientists said, and then what the average people say, which is always just a hoot. Sarcasm, well worded, is just one of the best things in my opinion. Yeah, snark is an art. Yeah, snark is a freaking art. Yeah, exactly. ABGD 4th variant. Yeah, it is the 4th variant. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, what did we say before? The Black Death was around Europe for like 4 years, and the Spanish flu was around for like 5 or so, right? So I just think you have to watch your ass for longer than they told you in the beginning. And I'm on my homie business pod saying that. Nothing like they were talking about a summer that first year, right? When they talk about it'll be going by the summer. Oh, was the Spanish flu 2 years? Yeah, all right. Well, okay. Spanish flu was 2 years. But it was more than what they were telling us. Oh, you'll be back by fall, by Christmas. Now a year and a half. And you should have just told us it was going to be like a year and a half to 2 years if we're lucky. And then people wouldn't have known what to expect. And you still would have had the naysayers, but they would have been naysaying with 2 years versus a 6-month pandemic, which is what I think they were telling us. Really, how? We could have killed COVID this year. Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I would have to agree with that. I think that, but here's my thing. I get why you can't force people to take it. It's America. I get that. But for you to be so willfully, what's the word for it? My mother used to just call it willful, right? To be so willful and not move from your bad position is why a lot of people are in this position. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are in the hospital now, ICUs with them, their cameras going, yo, I didn't get vaccinated. I said all this stuff. Please get vaccinated. It's too late then. It really is too late then. And the government gets us all to hate each other. So now you need everybody to work together. Nobody wants to do that. If my enemy wants, I don't know, ice cream, then I don't want ice cream. I want Jello or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want the same thing the guy that I disagreed with want. And then after you told me to hate on these people for so long, it's hard for you to then tell me, because now I look at you like a traitor. So you're really, yeah. Yep. I've been saying on this show for a while. You know, I can't tell you too, but if you got kids, you want to see them grow up. If you want to go to their weddings and see your grandbabies, get the vaccine. Even if you err on the side of caution, right? Get the vaccine. That way you get to go, my vaccine probably didn't do anything 20 years ago when I got it, but you're still here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. That everything's a conversation. Like everything is that's ridiculous. Like, and I think the example I gave on the show was uh, kicking your kids. Well, let me tell you the benefit of kicking your child. What? Like everything, like you can phrase anything in this conversational kind of like back and forth. But some stuff is not back and forth. Some stuff is like back the vaccine. Just man, just go get it. Especially if you have young children and family in your house that you want to see in 10 years. Just go get it. But some people have so little working in their life that this is what they spend their energy on, right? So, I mean, what do you do with those people? I guess the death rate's going to have to fly in some of these neighborhoods so that they themselves go, wow, you know what? We need to seriously go get vaccinated. Honey, pick up the kids. Let's go down to the vaccination center or wherever. Because now you're at the beginning of that with some of these governors who are like, well, I may have been wrong. I hope they pay a political price for that, but I don't think they will. The governor of New York just blew the call on all those people, all those old people in hospice, and he's still there. Yeah, there aren't two sides to this. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there aren't always two sides. You're absolutely right about that. Sometimes it's clear as day what you must do. Yeah, but man, 2% is a lot in a population. 2%. Let's put this up there too. I mean, yeah, 90% of the people will survive, but yeah, 2% of your population getting affected and dying is a ton of people. 2% of your city. Let's take a major city. How many people live in New York? 10 million people? 8 million people? 2% of just your city of 8 million people is going to be what? 10, let's say 10 minutes either. 2% of your 10 million people is going to be 200,000 people just in your city. 2% of 10 million is going to be, yeah, 200,000 people just in your city. Right. That's right. Just in your city of that. I mean, you don't think you're going to know any of these people? What makes you so arrogant to think that it won't be you and your grandbaby or your beloved mom, or you know what I mean? It's just, and then you'll be doing everything. And then I was showing pictures of the Lollapalooza. Did y'all? Let's pull up some pictures of Lollapalooza this week. That's a super spreader. Lollapalooza. How you spell Palooza? Lollapalooza. Lolloza. That is so freaking wrong. Lala. There's a lot of L's in there. So yeah, let's look at some of these. Let me get me out of here. Come on. Look at some of these events for Lollapalooza. I mean, let's get me out of here. Look at these. Look at these images. Open a new tab. Look at the depth of them. Here you go. Look at these images. Look at, oh, wow, this is tiny. I mean, look at how deep this goes. Look at how crammed in they are. No one has a mask on. I mean, come on, young people. Oh my God. And they likely, if they do get sick, I mean, some of these people have health issues. Some of these people have a fault in their DNA that they don't know about. And they'll be on the news being, oh, so and so was 20 and she was young in the prime of her life. Let's hope they're vaccinated. But man, even the people of this is just the banana-ness of it. It's young people energy. What are you going to do? You can't hate on them, but at the same time, how do you get all these people checked for COVID? How do you even do it? Oh, that's a good question. Lollapalooza vaccinated. Let's see what happens. COVID-19 health policy and Lollapalooza entry requirements. Okay, yeah, I just want to see what. In accordance with the City of Chicago's requirement for full COVID-19 vaccination or negative 19 tests will be required to attend Lollapalooza. Okay, that's a lot of people. Lollapalooza fan health pledge. They have to take a pledge. We ask that you attend if you have to not attend if any of the following is true of you or anyone in your party. Additional information. Masks will be available for free at the entry gate. Guests, oh wow, they have free masks. Guest services and medical tents. We will have increased hand sanitizers on site, and our cleaning crews will do frequent cleanings in high-touch areas. Guidance on Chicago Department of Public Health. Yeah, you did not get all these people. Oh, I closed it. Doggone it. You did not get all those people. Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza. You didn't get all these people. Thursday, July 29th, Sunday, August 1st. 4-day music festival. So you know what? We're going to have to wait for I want to say, we're going to have to wait. What do you want to say? 3 weeks, a month? Let's close this. We're going to have to wait like 3 weeks, a month to see what this looks like. Oh, you think 2 weeks? 4 weeks? Oh, really? Okay, 4 weeks for that. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be real bad. And then the media will kick in to blaming people. Like, damn young people. But I just think the people in charge are getting it wrong, constantly getting it wrong. Oh my God, my favorite video. A dude barred a bottle of whiskey at the edge of the park. Did I miss that? Man, back in the old days, here's a statement. You could sneak in with alcohol, or you go with a girl, she had a giant knapsack or something. Let's make this bigger. Lollapalooza, thank you. This weekend's festival solidified. Oh, there you go. This weekend's festival solidified the fact that love of music and the spirit of Chicago as vibrant as ever. Okay. We are incredibly grateful to the artists who brought their positive energy and incredible talent to our stages, and the hardest working staff and crew in the music industry. Welcome back and thank you. A lot of Lollapalooza fans affirm how much the live music experience means to them. Live music it should mean something to everybody, but let's put this in perspective. Showing no hesitation to follow the year's health and safety protocol. We are incredibly proud to say that 90% of you were vaccinated. What about the other 10%? To the countless hotel rooms, restaurant, bars, and music venues which welcome all of you with open arms. Thank you for your generous hospitality. Yeah, because once they show up in your city, they're going to your bars and your restaurants and your diners. And yeah, we're immensely grateful to the partnership with the city of Chicago and everyone who worked tirelessly to ensure Lollapalooza was a safe and successful event. Safe is a little early, guys. I hate to be the one to tell you. Financially successful, obviously, but safe, we're going to have to hold on that one. You have once again proven that there is no better home for Lollapalooza than this incredible city. I wonder what you're going to say when you go to New York or wherever. I think Lollapalooza isn't a traveling thing. It's a one-time, 4 days in one space. It's like Woodstock, right? We'll meet you back in the Grand Park for another amazing weekend, July 28, 20. Oh, so every year Lollapalooza is in Chicago? That can't be right. That can't be right? Lollapalooza. And if I'm going to have it done every year in a place, Lollapalooza is an annual 4-day music festival held in Grant Park, Chicago, Illinois. Why did I think it was in California? No, wait, that's the one named after the handbag that I keep thinking of as a purse. Coach? Not Coach. It's something like that. Corella? Pharrell? No, Pharrell? No, it's Coach. It's not Coach Pharrell. Whatever. All right. Yeah, apparently every year it's in Grant Park. Coachella. Where's Coachella? How do you spell Coachella? Coachella. Isn't Coachella a music company? Yeah, so that's in California. Music Festival, Imperial Polo Club in Indio, California. All right, that's in California. All right. Lollapalooza is a success. Y'all need to stop. So yeah. In August, we're less than 200 people shy of having more in the hospital with COVID-19 than we've ever had. Whoever wrote this, it's well worded. So what is your solution? Yeah, there you go. See, this question is a dangerous question because it's often thrown out by people who have no argument, right? It's a way to just hear you talk so then they can have a problem with what you're talking about. He didn't offer any information. But at the same time, it can be incredibly sincere. Is this the same person? Nope. Then again, we all might just die. I wouldn't take it so cavalierly. What is zoonotic? Zoonotic, so all life. Thanks, CCP. I don't even know what that means. What is zoonotic? Zoonosis, plural zoonosis or zoonotic disease, is an infectious disease caused by a pathogen, an infectious agent such as bacterium, virus, parasites, or prions that has jumped from one animal, usually a vertebrate, to a human. All right. So all life. Thanks, CCP. I think CCP is the Chinese Communist Party, but don't tell anybody that. But that might benefit humanity, meaning less people is good. Yeah, but at this point, you're playing Russian roulette with everybody in the world. So yeah, you may survive it, but your 8-year-old may not, right? Your 8 and 9-year-old may, but the parents may go, and then the 8-year-olds have this life to live with, and have to losing their parents early. All these things you don't have to go through, right? I don't want to give up my parents. Yeah, they're old, they're 80, but no, I want them just the idea of electric cars. Man, no. And you know what happens if you know history? All the people with all the cash, they take off. They abandon the city. What's that guy? David Geffen was on his giant yacht last April, going, look at me, I'm COVID on the yacht, motherfucker. And people are like, oh, fuck you piece of crap. And then because more people than not, and if you want to re-enter society, you're gonna have to deal with sort of that. You know what I mean? But the Pope left then, or the King left, all these people who had houses, they had small staff, so make sure they didn't get the Black Plague. They sort of walled themselves off from society. And then when it went away, they came back like, I'm your leader. Don't you love me? People just kind of like, man. And now we're back. Let's try getting vaccinated, wearing masks, and social distancing. It helps. Yes, we tried that for the last 16 months. It helps prolong the inevitable. Yeah, see, these two comments are they're not helpful, but they're funny. once the once the herd had been thinned, a newer, stronger population will emerge victorious, and finally the species will have reached its full potential. No guarantee the new population will be better in anything other than its ability to resist a disease. Oh, four more replies. Let's see. We got once the herd has been thinned, are you offering yourself up? Are you speaking of humans or COVID? I hope they're smarter too. A COVID fog brain damaged population. I was always taught that there's always someone immune to something in the population, right? So it sounds ridiculous, but some people have no effect on, let's say, like marijuana, right? And somewhere in the population, that's true of all drugs. So you might give somebody, a super like addictive, and they won't have effect, but that one person will be 1 in 50 million, right? It's hard to find that one person. So going back to the history of Africa, right, when the population shrank to, they think, between 2,000 and 10,000 people on the planet in this small little pocket, we all sort of grew out of those, like 2 or 10,000 people, depending on what they say. But whatever wiped out everybody. And there's also the law of averages, right? There are no absolutes in nature. So if you have 100 men, they all won't like the same thing. If you have 100 women, they all won't like the same thing. If you gave somebody, yeah, it's just some people have weird immunities to stuff, right? So maybe the thing that you thought was ridiculous will come back. Like maybe being shorter will help, right? In this case, maybe being taller will help. Maybe being a little more sturdy will help. But all these kind of things are just, they're a coin flip. Nobody makes it out alive. Spoiler alert, nobody makes it out alive. Some make it out sooner than others. I get it. Yeah, that's pretty funny. The threat to human society, is there any other kind of society? Yeah, of course there are. All social animals have societies. It's hard to take your article seriously when all you ask are like headlines from the National Enquirer. They don't give you much credibility. James Bond wrote in. Good morning, Vietnam. Uncle Joe and Dr. Doom to the rescue. Sometimes he's not for Biden or Fauci. We have to be vigilant for these new variants and track them. LO, good luck tracking anything with open borders and Biden busting illegals over the country. There you go. Because all the illegals have it. There's a lot of people coming here from Europe too. You can know a lot about people with their pithy retorts. The border isn't open. It's just porous like most countries, except might be the small countries or countries with murderous leadership. Almost nobody wants to go to those places, so the job of policing them is easier. What? The border is open. Okay. It's just porous like most countries. Okay. Except might be small countries or countries with murderous leadership, right? Nobody wants to go there. Okay. I got that. Almost nobody wants to go to these places, so the job of policing them is easier. Who's policing them, though? I guess their murderous leadership is policing them. Is that what you're saying? Or outside forces are policing them? I don't understand the phrasing of that. If you think Delta and Lambda are bad, Boulder will exterminate all life. Boulder? I don't know what Boulder is. Yeah. I agree with you. Maybe 10 out of 100, 12 will never be exposed. Yeah. What is your main problem? Oh, they'll be exposed and won't have no effect on them. They have some weird natural immunity, natural way to kick it off. Or just like viruses become a thing, sometimes, it works the opposite way. Something in your system switches on or switches off. That's been off forever. Yeah, I'm reading these comments from this article. Borders see you, I can't argue. Yeah. And that's the problem. You can't really depend on it. You can't quantify it. Yeah, this title of where's the title? Lambda COVID variant potential threat to human society is just new COVID variant epsilon. Lambda may be resistant to vaccines. There's an epsilon and a lambda. Okay, we have to look up these What are they, right? They're the alpha, beta, gamma. What are they called? They're Are they Greek? I think they're Greek letter names, Greek alphabet. I mean, alpha, here we go. So alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta. Huh. I wonder how they organize these things. So where's lambda? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, la, lambda, right here. So I, as in English, lantern. All right. Well, these people, I don't even know what they're doing. All right. So, but oh, it wasn't even on screen. All right. Let's get rid of this, and let's wait for the imagery to get back in check. Maybe if I cut the camera off for a second. Here it comes. Lambda is like 13. You're absolutely right. Grub. Yeah. And like, there's always luck. You can't discount it. I have seen people's luck do some wild shit. Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson. That wasn't skill. That was luck. However, Mike Tyson destroying his own career was just skill. Whew. What is going on with this image? I'm afraid to move. Yeah, so that was just one of the stories we ran through this morning. So yeah, so we're going to shift the show, everyone, today and tomorrow. Today is not a full day anymore. The 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. shows will change next week. I'll still be doing guitar. I'll likely be doing it for 40 minutes through the course of my day, because I figure you guys don't want to hear me play guitar all day. But there's going to be like a 6 or 7 o'clock show at night. That's just going to be everything. What happened today, jokes. We won't be playing music because we don't want to get strikes. We'll be playing talking music. Well, we'll be plucking away, but we won't be playing like famous people's music. We'll be talking, smoking. It'll be just like a regular sort of pod. That's going to be every day as well. But the top, well, that's not going to be I'm going to be streaming every day. It's going to be something slightly different every day, but it's going to be at 6 or 7 at night. Idaho prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty against Chad Daybell in alleged murder of 2 children and his first wife. This guy strikes me as the saddest puppy. I mean, this woman cruises into your life. I don't want to blame women, but in this case, you can blame this crazy woman who was part of a cult, comes to you, I think encourages you to kill your wife, kill her 2 kids, and kill her husband because the rapture? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say about that. So now she's in a mental institution for the rest of her days, and he's looking at triple homicide, murder 1, only because they can't put her first husband's murder on him. And the thing was, her brother killed her husband, right? Something like that. And then the brother turned up dead. So there's like 5 deaths surrounding these people. Yeah. I mean, this is what the death penalty is for. This sinister shit that people plot out. That's what it's not for this random knucklehead who knocks over an old lady, steals her purse, and then she dies, right? And you're sick of him, so you're just gonna give him, you know what I mean? It should be reserved for like these sinister people, super sinister people. And I think, I've said this before, the American judicial system is just a judicial system. Has nothing to do with justice, right? And it's rigged, because when these people fall off, they're never held to anywhere near the same standard, and they're usually allowed to buy their way out. Here's your pay your fine, right? But the fine you'll or I will get will be $250 million, more than any house that you can like. It's just ridiculous. Given your fine should be, I've said this before. Your fine should be commensurate with the amount you make. So look at this imagery. So if I did something bad and I make, there's a freaking bug. If I did something bad and is he in or outside? I think he's inside the freaking. All right, fine. If I did a crime and I make 50 grand a year and I'm found guilty, then maybe 2 or 3 or 5 times that I get, right? So that I guess will be 250 grand a year. But if I'm going to jail, I shouldn't pay it. It shouldn't be a weight over your head while you're in jail. It's just, but if I'm rich, I still get the same 250,000 fine and I'm a billionaire. No, your fine should be, what did you make this year times 5? Right? The justice system is one of the reasons why I think countries fall into the mire, because they start doing the bidding of the elite ruling class, whether they're kings or dictators or whatever. And when the whole thing goes left on everybody, it's because everybody out there protesting has a son who was beaten up or disrespected by the cops or the courts that didn't answer charge of their daughter being attacked by like a magistrate or in the office or some cop on the street, being. Remember, the Average Spring famously was kicked off by an Apple vendor, right, who was disrespected by a woman police officer. Well, in their society, women disrespecting men is just like a blow to your ego, right? And a massive blow. I mean, just because you're like, whatever, it's their society. I don't even know what would the same version of that be here in this society, right? I think man rape in prison, right? Isn't that what it has to be? Everybody tell you how they were the roughest, toughest dude in jail. No one ever tell you, because in this society, that shit is. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So then he wrote this letter and then killed himself, right? So whatever that equivalent is here, I can't even really come up with one. But she disrespecting him in front of everybody while he's trying to sell these little things to feed his family and confiscating his stuff sent him over the edge. And he wrote this letter, which resonated with everybody, and then he set himself on fire. And he was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, and the protests kept getting worse and worse and worse. Then they put cops out on the street, and that made it worse and worse. And then at the end of the day, the whole place, somewhere in like, I want to say 6 weeks, this whole thing took place. Like the day before this happened, the dictator in charge was chilling. 3 weeks in, it's a fight for his life. So he actually did an American thing, which is got his press people together and went to stand by that dude's bedside and tell him, we understand you, but he was in a coma, he was burnt up, right? But that was a sign of him going, we got to put this fire out. Right. Our normal measure of just shooting everybody on the street and being ridiculous with the population isn't working. They're standing up against our gunfire and they're attacking us back now. And then some people in the military began to go, yeah, this is ridiculous. I'm defecting to the, at this point, was it a revolution or protest? But he was getting blowback from people from within his tent. And before you know it, it spread everywhere. It was a spring, but it didn't last long. And that's it. Excuse me. Average Spring in a nutshell. It was an amazing thing to watch. I remember for all my days, like when Saddam Hussein walked into his Congress essentially and took over and just started pulling out. It's essentially like if a president walked into Congress, sat in that big chair up there, and were like, there are traitors in this room who work against the people of Iraq and yada, yada, yada. And those people just started calling out senators and congressmen names and having people carted off to their death. It was amazing. And the only thing that stopped him they think that one or two guys started cheering him. Yeah, Saddam Hussein, yeah. And he couldn't, and other people started, and he couldn't yell out people's name that he wanted to have carted off. That shit was crazy. So someone managed to let's just applaud him. They dropped him out with applause, and he couldn't call out so and so needs to be hanged up. I guess he picked them up later, but some of them escaped because of that. While everybody was setting up and cheering, some of them left the room and slipped out of there. But he had a long ass list of people he was going to call out, and I think by the time they got to the 10th guy or so, people were like, "Long live Saddam! Yes, Saddam, you're great, Saddam!" And the whole place just sort of slowly went up into this den, and he couldn't get a word in. And then he just applauded and did that. But yeah, but watching that, I was a kid going, "This doesn't look good." Back then, the 70s and that part of the country, they were kidnapping. They were hijacking planes and blowing them up. They were openly murdering people. They were completely out of fucking control, and I didn't understand why. And that's all like that. Yeah, you're right. It did work. He was in power for 30 years. And what it took to dislodge him was the American military. They weren't, and that's it. I tell people here all the time, yeah, we're surrounded by two giant oceans, so we can see people coming, but that doesn't mean they can't get to us. I mean, the world is, when they said that the world was a much smaller place, you know what I mean? Now you can be in America from generally anywhere in the world in 12 hours. That's not true. I went to Australia, so that flight was 18 hours. So you can be anywhere, the farthest place in the world. You can be anywhere in the world, farthest place in 18 hours by plane, right? It is what it is, man. So that's the zootonic. Things that jump from people, things that jump from species to species. I heard that dogs can get it now. I was like, dogs can get SARS? Your cat can get SARS. I was like, this is not good. Can dog and should we want to put this up for this look? Can dogs and cats get COVID? A small number of pets worldwide, including cats and dogs, have been reported to be infected with the virus that causes COVID-19, mostly after close contact with people. Duh. But they were going to clubs, they were going to parties, they weren't vaccinating. What were they doing? How'd they get it? People. We know that most pets get infected after close contact with their owners or other household members. Yeah, but they don't get the mumps. You know what I mean? This is what's spooky about it. And then this, man, I think this phrasing is really just disingenuous. And every time I read something, it's got this weird nebulous sort of a small amount, right? First of all, they want you to know that a small amount because everybody's freaking out. So they don't want to go, oh yeah, dogs and cats can. They just want you to go, oh, it's a small amount. So you throw that in there. Pets worldwide include most pets are dogs and cats, including pet dogs. What? Have been reported to be infected with the virus, mostly after close contact. Pets always have close contact. What? We must know that pets get infected after close contact with their owners and another household member. I just don't even know how people put this together. Yeah. You want to be weird? Let's look up Saddam Hussein. Hussein's rise. Well, I know the rise to power. He was essentially the number 2 guy. Succession in 1960 rose to the position of general in the Iraqi armed forces and rapidly became a strongman of the government. Yeah, he was a violent little fuckstick his whole life, who was connected to people, who used him. This is what happens when you feed the beast eventually gets bigger than you. And that's what happened here. He took over from the leader who was like Joe Biden. He was like 90 and feeble. And the guy who was this tough guy was this 40-year-old who you made a general, and he was always on TV, and all of a sudden everybody just associated political succession, right? In 1976, no, Bath Party Purge 79. Yeah, this is what I remember. The 79 Bath Party Purge was a public purge. Public. It was on television. I was watching it in Queens, New York. Orchestrated July 22nd, 1979 by then President Saddam Hussein. Earlier in background, we don't need a background. We just aftermath event. Suddenly, hurriedly convened an assembly of party leaders on July 2nd. During the assembly, which he ordered to be videotaped, he came to have uncovered a fifth column within the party. Abdel Hussein broke after days of physical torture and under the threat of his family's execution, confessed to take a leading role in Syrian-backed plot against the Iraqi government, and gave the number of 68 alleged co-conspirators. These were removed from the room one by one as their names were called and taken into custody. After the list was read, Saddam congratulated those still seated in the room for their past and future loyalty. Those arrested at the meeting were subsequently tried together and found guilty of treason. 22 men, including 5 members of the Revolutionary Command Council, were sentenced to execution. Those spared were given weapons and directed to execute their comrades. That's the evil shit of like, look, man, you have to understand why that region is like that region, and you have to look back at their history. They have a thing of cutting people's heads off because it's part of what they do here. It's like the only reason why Christians weren't fucking weren't fucking nailing people to crosses here, because crosses are fucking heavy, and it's cheaper to hang people. So now we still have this new fucking it's not a meme, this like iconography here, because it's such a part of fucking American hits. Like cutting heads is not what we do. Here's another thing. The Brits have a cut your head off thing as well, right? The Brits tortured their people. They drawn in quartering, right? But you leave some of this shit in the past as you move to the future. They're not trying to leave any of this shit in the past, right? They think that Allah or Muhammad is like a military general. You're supposed to kill every other religion in the world, but you know, and you kill your own, right? They've killed blowing up a ton of Allah's children. I mean, so what is yeah, I mean, that I think it's always had this open, what's the word I'm looking for? This opening to interpret shit so widely. But then again, like I said on yesterday's show, in this part of the world, when all this was going on, the Crusades, right? We were talking about the Jews yesterday. I don't think, like, I know the Christians tortured and executed Jews and Muslims. I know the Muslim caliphates tortured and drove out and executed Christians and Jews. I don't really remember the Jews orchestrating any murders against the Christians or the Muslims, right? Who's doing what over there? I get why the Jews are paranoid. Totally get it. But because, like I just said, these guys, for their whole history, it's just been adversarial. And you know who was like this for a long time? The Japanese. The Japanese was a tiny little island, and they were doing they were like Britain, right? A tiny little island who did all this shit. And then America had to come through and burn your whole tiny little island down to let you know how tiny your island was. It's quite a thing. It is quite a thing. It's like we have room to grow and the British don't, right? There are 65 million British people in the world, right? On that island in the world. I guess if you add people who don't want to be British, like the Northern Irelands and the Scottish, right? And say that whole thing is one little island. Let's say all those 5 islands, one little island. They may have 90 million people, right? In the British Kingdom. We've got 345 million and room to grow. How many English people are, oh good Lord, are in the United Kingdom? Let's go Kingdom versus Britain. 66 million. Around the population in the UK stands around 66 million, with British diaspora around 140, concentrated in the United States. There's your fifth column, people. Australia, which is supposed to be its own country, but the Queen is on their money. The Queen is on Canada's money, and the Queen is on New Zealand's money. With smaller concentrations in the Republic of Ireland, Chile, South of Africa, really? Well, I know South Africa, but Chile. Why Chile? and parts of the Caribbean. Well, we know that there's a lot of black British people in the Caribbean. After the slave trade, we all know how that happened. But yeah, 66 million. This is why, like, when people talk about war, I go, first of all, who are we warring with? And how big is their army? How many people are in the British Army? How many are in the British Army? I used to love this stuff. There were over 145,000 personnel serving in the British Army. That can't be right. 145,000 people? That can't be right. Huh. That is right. 82,000 people. Good Lord. How many in the Chinese army? Mind you, Chinese has 2 billion people, 2.8 million soldiers, and a lot of reserve power, right? How many in the U.S. Army? I should just go military, not army. U.S. Army, yeah, okay, yeah. How many are in the U.S. military? Cool. Army, National Guard, the U.S. military. Just tell me outright. That's the armed. Well, okay, armed forces. Here you go. Come on. One more time. Okay, six branches, right? I got to get me a Space Force shirt. I'm telling you, I love the idea of it. And like I said before, I fully defend Trump on this because we need somebody to look. I've always been saying we should better militarize NASA, right? Not with weapons stuff, but like military discipline. Those guys don't do shit. Military discipline I think will have gotten us to the moon and Mars, even though you're not supposed to weaponize space or whatever. But now we're just giving them money and they're not doing shit. June 11, 46 years ago, manpower. 70 military age conscription enacted since 73. I had to register available for military service. 17 million people. Yeah. Yeah. It is a thing. The Chinese have 2 million. And what's the Chinese reserve? Chinese. Why we go down this road? Military reserve. Reserve. They have a 1.7 million. Okay. So 1,170,000 reserve. What did we say here in the United States reserve was? 17 million. It's a big ass budget. All right. Ranks: commissioned officer, Army, Marine Corps, warrant officers, enlisted. Well, these flags, Department of Defense, they're their own society. They're their complete and ridiculous own society. And we should know more about what the military does, but they don't want us to know what they do. They just want cash. And that could be a problem. What is their reserve? 30,000 reserve. All right. You go Britain. Yeah, that Bath Purge thing was ridiculous. I sat there with my eyes wide open while it was on my TV set, like, what in the world? ABC News. I mean, just darkness for the sake of darkness, right? What is that? The guy from North Korea who had his uncle blown up with like a military howitzer bomb used to like sink planes because they say he was trying to take over, and he was going to do was going to get his brother who was in like Singapore or something. So he sent agents to kill his brother, right? And then he arrested his uncle. How fast do you think after you've been made leadership of some country, right? Some place, not a country, not a club or anything. You can't kill people if you're captain of the Boy Scouts. But you're the king of Americana Mexico for now. How long do you think before you have to kill people? You have to put the prohibition that you have in your soul aside from killing people to kill people to protect the whole apparatus of the state. I'm pretty sure as soon as you sit down after the prompt and circumstance and I'll parade and me throwing flowers at you while you're about, I love you, bye. Got your picture of you on my wall. As soon as you go into your you sit down, you undo your tie, they go, sir, this happened someplace and that happened someplace. And then your advisors, your financial accountant, not accountant, your financial economics advisors, your PhD economists are telling you this about the budget, but then your military dudes come in and go, this guy say he can beat you in a thumb wrestling contest, and you're like, this is outrageous. What are my options? Well, we could strike him with a, giant, what are those things? Drone. And you're like, yeah, okay. Or we've got super secret things going on here, and we got to smuggle this guy back out with these people. And this guy can be easy. We can make it look like an accident. You'd be like, all right. Versus going, I don't know. I'm a Christian or Muslim or Jew, and I can't. And what will my God or Yahweh or Jehovah think about me? No, you got to be like, sir, we need an answer now. Kill everybody? Good job, sir. Thank you. Then they walk right out the door. Before you finish eating your waffles on the news, they're like, we just bombed the fuck out of who would we not get into a war with just so. It would be like the Falklands. British went to war with the Falkland Islands. I remember that, and we were like, they don't have an army, they don't have a navy. Military don't care. Military is about winning as fast as possible, unless they're told them torture the population and bring it out, like wring the shit out. Tis what it is, man. We have been streaming for an hour. It's your Friday. We were talking a little bit of politics. I need to shave my head. We were talking a little bit about politics, just a little bit, remembering some of the nonsense of global-ish. We pontificated on why it was like that. At least I did, and I'm probably wrong. Don't, so please let me know it. And we also talked a little bit about COVID and its spread, and we looked at Lollapalooza. Did I just cut that off? I did just cut that off. I don't have any ice water in here, do I? Nope, just water. That's fine. It's gonna be a nice weekend, man. Look, don't feel so bad if you wanna. I need to wash that car. Don't feel so bad. Is it gonna rain this weekend? I don't think so. I think it just rained the last 5 days. Don't feel bad if you want to take the day off and have a 3-day weekend. Yeah. Oh Lord, every time I open an app, I lose valuable internet space. All right, so it's supposed to rain tomorrow. Am I gonna wash the car and it's gonna rain tomorrow? It's gonna rain all day tomorrow. Lord. All right, maybe I'll watch it on Sunday. So, as we begin to wrap this up, in I guess about 15 minutes, oh man, I gotta do this thing again. I gotta get rid of all my old Apple shit. Yeah, I do. I should do that this weekend. It's not like I don't have shit to do. I have a honey-do list with no honey. There's a ton of stuff I need to be doing here. Not just art stuff, just like life maintenance stuff. That thing is trapped in this window and it's just crawling around annoying me. It's stuck between the inside pane and the outside pane. Right. So both it's stuck, not the outside pane. It's not, the outside pane. Because now he's sandwiched in there walking around. It's a little beetle. So Yeah, I mean, life is short. All those slogans, just do it, life is short, play hard, they're just slogans. Your life is not a race. It's a journey. Um, it ebbs and flows and move fast. Sometimes it feels like you're on a calm lake going downstream, and then all of a sudden, you're moving, flash floodlight stuff. You got to be quick on your feet mentally, not to get taken. There's a lot of cons running around in America still, and very little redress for wrongs done to you. Excuse me, by the state agencies, right? It takes forever to get bureaucracy to come to your aid because you are, I hate to tell you this, not a priority to how they do things. That only changes when everybody, just like we said in Tunisia, everybody loses their shit. Was it Tunisia or was it it wasn't Yemen. It wasn't Tunisia. It wasn't Morocco. Where the fuck was it? All right, Arab Spring. Arab Spring. Which became nothing. It really did become nothing. They wanted like 9 dictators tossed and they got none of it. Cairo. Well, they did get rid of Tunisia. Habib Bourguiba Boulevard. All right, here we go. The Arab Spring was a series of anti-government protests. Started with protests in Tunisia. That story is, and it's one of those stories where if it had worked, he'd be a hero. But now that it's undone, it's just a thing in their history. So much. Look at this. Let's put this up. So much so that, look at this. All of Northern Africa, right? Oman, all these people are unhappy with their leadership. It's all because of, in my opinion, their history of aggression toward themselves and everything else. I get it. Causes. The world watched the events of the Arab Spring and felt gripped by narrative of a young generation peacefully rising up against oppression, authoritarianism. Yeah, and it was helped greatly by like Twitter, and then the government shut down Twitter in some places. But this government, you may not remember this. This government shut down all of the internet for like an hour, not an hour. It was like for like 20 minutes. And I can't find any mention of it. Like it was YouTube, it was Twitter, and I was like, this is a test run to see, just in case if anything happened. This was after the Arab Spring. If anything happened, if we in Washington D.C. can kill like the internet, because you're not supposed to be able to kill the internet. Remember that? It was supposed to be a safety measure for a global war. So if the phone lines and everything went out, so the modern people wanted to be able to kill it because you can use Twitter to go, we're meeting over here. Because the government is making us go fight yet another war or something. And I'll tell you another thing. Remember, there used to be these flash mobs. The government put it into that because who wants people showing up, right? First of all, it sounds innocuous, but you can get people to show up and do damage, like ISIS can show. You know what I mean? So just because people show up all of a sudden and all coordinated and do a dance, everyone thinks it's funny. Some people think it's annoying, but the government thinks you just got 50 people to show up out of nowhere to do it at a coordinated event and no one knew it. You know what I'm saying? When I first saw that, I was like, this is not going to last long. And it hasn't. The Ed Molly, what was his name? Arab Spring causes, numerous factors, monarchy, social media events. Come on, man. What's the guy's name? Timeline. The Egypt labor, Cairo. Yeah, this article doesn't start with the beginning. I mean, caused the biggest transformation of the Middle East since decolonization. By the end of 2012, rulers have been forced from power in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Yemen, civil uprising erupting in Bahrain and Syria. Syria is still at war over the shit. Major protests have broken out in Algeria, Iraq. I guess it was Algeria, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Morocco, Oman, and the Sudan. Outrageous. Yeah, they overthrew him. Diplomat policy, arrest and trial. Ousted as president, arrested and trial. Health and death. What is this? Suffered a stroke and had been hospitalized for an indefinite period. I just reported that Saudi sources had confirmed that Ben Ali had indeed sustained severe complications of a stroke and that he was in critical condition. The information had never been confirmed or denied by the Saudi government. However, on 17 June 2011, Ben Ali's attorney, Jean-Yves Leborg, stated that Ben Ali is not in the state that he said he to be in, and that he's meeting with his client took place under normal circumstances. And this is why I don't believe you. You can't even tell me if he's lying or dead. Other people are talking about, yeah, he's still having meetings. And where's this picture? This is why no one, everybody's there is a liar and a violent idiot, quite frankly. The family, Lila Ben was the chair of the Basma Association, a group that promotes social integration, provides employment opportunities for the disabled. She was also president of Arab Women's Organization. "33 members of the Ben Ali's family have been arrested in the past week as they tried to flee the country." Yeah. So you kill all the leadership. So yeah, it's very, I mean, that part of the world is easily 600 years behind everybody. And Africa is 2,000 years behind everybody. Atif Ben Ali degage. Yeah, this whole thing, but they just, here we are. Americans fucking talking to the bad guys. Colin Powell shaking hands with the bad guys. Drug trafficking case. I cannot remember the name of this young man, and I can't find it. Life, education, and military career. All right. Let's look up Tunisia. The thing about this part of the world, it's so old. A million names. It's ancient Carthage was the name of it originally in 814 BC. Like, you know how old Egypt is? I mean, it's still Egypt, and there are Bible stories about the place. It's so old. It's so old, right? It's just an amazing thing when you think about it. But it wasn't always fuckery. I think the West came in and fucked with it. And now they're going to hate the West and Europe forever. Arab, Berber, 1% Jewish, ethnicity, 1% other. History, antiquity. Farming methods reached the Nile Valley from the Fertile Crescent region about 5,000 BC. 5,000. Hold it. So 5,000 BC is, what is it? 2,000? It's 7,000 years ago, and spread to the Maghreb by about 4,000. The Maghreb is what they call it. This is what ISIS wanted to control. They were going to have this whole giant city running around raping and murdering people and threatening the West. Yeah, y'all don't know this. The idea of these people, you don't even have an air force. Right. I think you can be violent. I just think you can't have a caliphate, because you need all those people to trust you, and they don't. And you can't hold that area like with a steel fist. You can't. It just won't work. Too many people. I mean, it was believed, and they're not in a tight group. It's a giant wandering area. It was believed in ancient times that Africa was originally populated by Gaetians, was a Romanized name of an ancient Berber tribe inhabiting Getulia. The later district covered the large desert region south of Atlas Mountains, bordering the Sahara. Other documents place Getulia in pre-Roman times along the Mediterranean coast. All right. You know, nobody knows why Africa is named Africa. It's so old and it's been there so long. Nobody even knows why it's named Africa. Nobody knows who named it. It's just always been. The Numidians and the Moors belong to the race from which the Berbers were descended, right? Don't tell anybody that they're related to black people, even if they're from Africa. The city of Carthage was founded in the 9th century BC by the Phoenicians. Legend says that Dido, we love Dido, and Tyre, now in modern day Lebanon, founded the city in 814 BC and retold by the Greek writer Timaeus of Tauromenium. The settlers of Carthage bought their culture and religion from Phoenicia, now present day Lebanon. Huh. So look at this. Ugh, look at this. So look how close these people are. I mean, for 7,000 years, this is why some people think some people are lighter at the top of Africa, because they've essentially been inbreeding long before there were borders with Europeans. And people will cross the desert. Okay, let's cut this off. Tunisia, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm down a rabbit hole of history and history and global politics. But I'm really looking for that young man's name, which I cannot find. Antiquity. Minor protests. See, minor protests. Of course, where you get your hair cut off. Civil War. Protest government and changes. Yemen, they promised change, and then they went back on it like 2 years later, killed all the people who were leaders in the protest movement, had them all arrested. They just waited for the protests to calm down and then re-solidified their power and killing off all the leaders. Government overthrow, major protest and government change. Minor protest, 2 Arab government overthrown, Mubarak government, Morsi government. Civil war, Syria, still going on today. Release some political prisoners, dismissal of provincial government, realization of the government, end of emergency law, resignation from parliament, large defectors from Syrian army, clash between soldiers and defectors, the formation of the Free Syrian Army, and deterioration into full-scale civil war. And it's still that way today. 26 January 2011, major protests began. What do they say about Syria? Not to be confused with Styria. What the fuck is Styria? Hold on. What is Styria? Styria, German, Croatian, and Slav. Okay. Styria. It's in Europe. I never heard of that. Why are people trading with these people? Because people do not care. Foreign military, human rights, culture, literature, music, education. Wait, they're talking like this civil war is over. Politics, government, biodiversity, etymology. How old is Syria? Ancient antiquity. Since approximately 10,000 BC, Syria was one of the centers of Neolithic culture known as pre-pottery Neolithic. So Syria has been around for 12,000 years. The name burned by reclaimed horses and remember by at the time pre-pottery Neolithic finding obsidian tools from Anatolia are evidence of early trade relations. Cities of Hammurabi and Emar played an ancient role during the late Neolithic and Bronze Age. Archaeology have demonstrated that civilian in Syria was one of the most. So it was named Syria even then. Female figurine 5,000 years ago. Yeah, amazing. Etymology: the name of Syria. Several sources indicate that the name Syria is derived from the 8th century. 8th century. You just said it was 10,000 years old. Surah-I, and the directive ancient Greek name, what is that? Both of which originally derived from Assyria, in northern Mesopotamia. Huh? Okay. Border between Iraq, Iran, Mesopotamia. All right. However, from the secluded empire, the term was also applied to the Lebanon. Yeah. None of this shit is happening. No one's selling you aircrafts. Literature, health, education, military. Syria is a formerly unitary republic. The current constitution of Syria, adopted in 2012, effectively transformed the country to a semi-presidential republic due to the constitutional right to the election of any who do not form part of the National Progressive Front. The president is head of state, and the prime minister is head of government. Okay. Head of state. A head of state is a public person who officially embodies a state, embodies a state in its unity and legitimacy, depending on the country's form of government. Right. Head of government is either the highest or second highest official in the executive branch of sovereign state. A federal state or self-governing country. All right. I mean, we're supposed to have both of those in one person, but that's fine. It doesn't mention the Civil War here at all. What is this? Biodiversity, geography, major economic crisis, 20 Syrian Civil War. Let's do it. What is going on here? Come on. All right. This is the last thing we'll look up. Such a main belligerence. Date March 15, 2011 to present. 10 years, 4 months, 3 weeks, and a day. It's still going on. It's still going on. Casualties and losses. 13 killed. 10 American, 1 British, 1, what is this? Russian? France, sorry. What the Russian is red, white, and blue, but opposite. And 1 Iraqi. Jordan. Good Lord. These fucking flags all look alike. They all have the green in it. Syrian, 91,000, 103,000 soldiers and 61,000 militiamen killed. Hezbollah. Why is that? Yeah. Give me a reason to die for God. That's also figures in there. This idea of dying for God encourages many of society to be violent, to go meet God. So, I mean, what does God stand for if it can be this loose? This has been going on for 10 years. Commanders and leaders, Bashir al-Assad, ISIS, Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi. All right. Is that Iraqi Islam, who's the second and current leader of the Islamic State of Iraq and Lebanon. His true identity is Amir Abdul Rahman al-Mawli al-Sahel Sabi. Yeah. They were just popping. They were knocking these guys off like they were fucking. It's amazing. Strength. Syrian forces, national defense, Syrian Free Army, 20 to 32,000. Who supplies you? Yeah, so still going on apparently. The ongoing scene was inspired by the Arab Spring Revolution, began in 2011 as a chain of peaceful protests, followed by an alleged crackdown by the Syrian army. So they peaceful protests, the cops showed up and shot everybody and kept shooting everybody. And then some of the military people like, man, killed my cousin, killed my uncle, killed my brother. I'm not, and before you know it, you have defectors from your military who knows train. And I remember one dude left with all this shit from the base. And I was like, oh, wow, at least he planned. And 10 years later, here we are. 2020, rallying against the collapse of the country's economy as the Syrian pound plummeted to 300,000 to the dollar within the past week. His wife is American. Yeah. All right. I can't even. I can't even. Let's get it. All right. We've been streaming for an hour and 25 minutes. We need to stop because we're sliding down a rabbit hole. We're going to continue this global probably talk likely tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it is a wild game they're playing over there. I will see you tonight at 6, right? Please be here. I want to thank Jeffrey Giggles for swinging through. It was good to see you, Jeffrey. And I will see you tonight, 6 o'clock, and then 7 a.m. tomorrow and 6 p.m. tomorrow night for the 50th day of what we're doing. And maybe I'll have a surprise. I don't know. But peace. Have a good work day. And then enjoy your Friday if I don't see you. Enjoy your weekend if I don't see you.